Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. This is our work meeting. This is where we'll have discussions and various presentations. This is not where we take votes on anything. We'll do that in our business meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. We are located at 47 South Main Street in Tooele. We're on the third floor. We're in Suite 306. The current time is 3:30 p.m. No, here.
What are they talking about now? Do you know?
Okay. We're going to do a roll call. We have from the County Attorney's Office, Scott Broadhead. Thank you for being here. Councilman Thomas, Councilman Tripp, Councilman Hoffman, Councilman Hamner, Councilman Wardle present. From our County Manager's Office, we have Andy Welch, Assistant County Manager, Brittany Lopez. From the Clerk's Office, we have our Clerk, Tracy Shaw, present, taking records. We have various people throughout the audience, and we recognize and welcome you here. And we have Mike Maurer from the Governor's Office that would like to be here. Mike Maurer grew up in Emery County with my brother-in-law, the Singletons. So, yeah, they're on a mission right now, Kyle and Kathy Singleton in Indiana, God's country.
They are.
Mike, will you come up to the mic, please?
And I appreciate that, and I apologize. I'm a direct descendant of J. Reuben Clark, so your half-an-hour debate had nothing to do with me as a board member, but I do appreciate that out there. Three things I want to capture first. First is the governor would like to invite all of the county commissioners to a night at the mansion with a guest on Wednesday, May 24th. We appreciate what you do. The governor's a former county commissioner, and he realizes just how challenging it is to be a county commissioner. The second thing is, I want to, with the permission of the chair, approach, and Tracy, I'll send you yours. These are the coins the governor pass this up. Just by way of question, how many of you commissioners are old enough to remember COVID? Okay, so yeah, remember COVID. It was a real challenge for the state, and it was probably one of the most difficult times. I was working for Governor Herbert at the time. Who had any idea it would go 2 years? But the governor wanted me to bring these to you personally to thank you. It was tough being in the governor's office during COVID, no question about it. There was a real diverse opinion, but Tooele County was great to work with, and all of you were terrific. And on behalf of the governor, both Herbert and Governor Cox, thanks for your work during all of that. It was a long, challenging process, but we really appreciate the partnership we had with Tooele County. And we've appreciated, and he's asked me to come out here, we've also really appreciated the association we've had with Commissioner Tom Tripp. Commissioner Tripp has done so much good for Tooele County for so many years, whether it's as a Grantsville resident, like many of my ancestors were for years, or whether it's with the county as a whole. The governor asked me to extend thanks to him as he's concluding his service in this line of service on the county commission. I had a brother-in-law, many of you know Myron Bateman, and I was talking with Myron, and he said, Commissioner Tripp was so great with finances and really helped get the county in a great fiscal position, among other things that he did. And so it's, with your permission, Chair, if I could just present this to... Could
I have him come down and
yes.
get a picture of you presenting that to him?
Yeah, thanks. We'll get it. Let me come back there. We'll do it, and then I'll send it to the governor, and he'll know where I'm at today. You mind taking this really quick? I'm in Tooele, but if you wouldn't mind, so I'll have all of you back there where it says Tooele County in the back.
You know, this is the governor's favorite county, at least that's what he told us when he was there.
It's great. Who doesn't love Tooele? I mean, you've got ancestors from Vernon and Grantsville and a sister
I'm a
in
Tooele guy myself.
Okay.
My grandmother grew up here. My father
Don't
graduated.
look at Colin, look at me. This is done for.
Okay. All right, then look at Colin, because this one's going on Twitter.
Oh, I didn't know that. My turn, this one's going on, whoa. Oh, geez. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Little rules.
All right, hey, thank you so much. So thanks so much for your service. We'll pass that on. We'll see the rest of you on the 24th.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Hey, what time is that?
May
Mike?
24th?
We are, what we're doing, and
This is extra formal.
we'll do a two-part event. For those of you who'd like to come in around 4 o'clock, we'll take you on a behind-the-scenes tour of the Capitol with a significant other. Kendall Thomas can tell you about it. We'll take you up in the dome. So a lot of you haven't been up in the dome before. If you don't like heights, skip it, because anyway, the stairs are pretty steep. But we'll go up inside the dome and tour around in there, and then take you to the emergency operations room, governor's office, House and Senate floor, and then we'll meet at 6 at the governor's mansion for dinner. So I'll send out more information, but we just wanted to let you know, we really appreciate the work of our county commissioners, especially Commissioner Tripp, as you're concluding many years of public service and at the city level and at the county level, a sincere appreciation from Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson. So thanks, and thanks for letting me be on your agenda, and I'll let the Singletons know. I'll send them this picture right now.
Thank you.
Thanks so
you.
much, everyone.
That brings us up to line item transfers, and our auditor, Allison McCoy. Chair recognizes.
All right, council, just one line item transfer for you as we end the year. This one is from Deseret Peak. They'll be moving some funds from their materials and supplies line over to their utilities line. Just a reminder that we do these line item transfers so that we can more accurately reflect where we spend things, so that we have accurate record keeping. So Deseret Peak could act more than, they could actually spend the money out of their materials and supplies line for their utilities, but we don't want them to do that because we want to know how much their utilities cost. And so that's why we come to you and do these line item transfers.
No, and thank you, Allison. I like that, because then you know what gas went up, or what
Yep.
electricity, or telephone, or what it may have. Any questions on that, council? We'll move this forward.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That brings us down to resolution and ordinances, adjusting the Tooele County budget for 2022 fiscal year. Allison McCoy.
All right, and then council, before I bring these up, I just wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about budget adjustments. I've had a few questions over the last several weeks about why we do budget adjustments so often, and if it's appropriate for us to do budget adjustments so often. And so one thing I want to explain to you is that I am very protective of your budget. And so the reason that I come before you so often is for transparency purposes, and so that you know exactly what money's being spent, and that so that you understand that I understand that I don't have authority to tell departments that they can spend money that you haven't authorized. In several entities, right before I got elected, there was a practice of truing up a budget one time a year. So what would happen is entities would go through and they would spend over throughout a year, and then this meeting, they would present a budget and true everything up. And it was made very apparent at the very first UAC meeting that I went to that that was not a practice that the state auditor approved of. And it was something that I committed that I wouldn't participate in. And so I want you to know that there's no penalties for me coming before you. It doesn't look bad. It's not anything that we get in trouble for. It's actually something that shows that we are transparent with the public, and it's a credit to you guys too that that you respect the transparency that the citizens have requested from us. And so I do want you to know that it does require work from our staff. And so we need to give a shout out to all those that are involved in the budget transfers. But it does mean a lot that you guys get to see these budget transfers as we do them, not just once a year or even 3 or 4 times a year. So with that, I've got a couple for you tonight. The first one is for our mass transit funds. These funds go directly to UTA. As we collect more through the gas tax, we have to pass more on to UTA. And so that's what these funds are for, this $25,000.
What happens if we don't? I think the state's got enough money.
That's not a decision I get to make, Ty.
This is a revenue and spend deal.
Yes, it is.
Darn it.
Remember when I just said that I respect the money that you say you were, those are like contracts too. I respect the contracts you signed.
No, we have Andy sign those.
Oh, okay. The next one is for the sheriff's office. They've increased, or they've had an increase in the revenue that they've collected, and we also need to increase their contract overtime by $25,000. And then the last one here is another one where Wendover City has collected more in their TRT portion that we allot for them, and so we need to allot more for their portion too, $48,000. So those are all the budget adjustments. Are there any questions on those?
When you say Wendover City, that's the city? We're doing this for the city?
We are.
Yeah, go ahead. Please, Chair recognizes Councilman Tripp.
We need to recognize that a very large share of our TRT money comes from Wendover City, Utah.
Most of it does.
So this is an agreement where we give a certain fraction back to them for their tourism purposes specifically. And it's been a standing program, and they're aware of the limitations of how that money can be spent. And at least from the previous administration, they kept records that showed that. We assume that the current mayor will continue.
So we have requested those records from them. We have not dispersed in 2022 because we've not received those records from them, but we have been in contact with them. I have recommended to them that they implement their own TRT tax, but that's a discussion that,
Their council needs
So
to have.
can we send this money out when we get it, or can we sit on it until we get the information from Wendover?
I do sit on it because it is
Okay.
our money that we expect to know how they're spending.
Well, I think if we, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Allison, if we get it and we disperse it, we're held accountable to that. So
We are.
that's why we're holding it
We are.
until the information comes forth, then we can deliver it to them. Is that right?
Correct.
That makes sense.
But we ought to communicate what we're holding for them so they know what their budget is.
And I have, yes, I have.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any further discussion, council?
No, let's move it forward, move on.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. B, rezone, 22.95 acres, located in south of Tooele City. Trish?
Yeah, Trish Tooele with planning staff. Just real quick, this rezone, in case you pulled up the map, it's not updated yet. The applicant recently went through an approval of exchange, which just kind of broadened that little triangle piece of property into the map that you guys have been provided with the staff reports. And so that's just currently going through the recorder's office, which creates that 22.95 acres in size. So the applicant wants to rezone this, which is currently RR5, to an MG zone, which is general manufacturing, because he wants to plan on doing a storage unit for like just dry storage, just open storage, no buildings at this point right now, for like RVs and boats and stuff like that. I know that, I'm sure you guys are aware of it, but the county does plan on eventually shutting down where Bauer Road is, right here where the railroad crosses over. So they'll reroute the Bauer Road over to South Mountain, which is just over here. So essentially, this road is just gonna be a dead end anyway. The applicant did provide a traffic analysis and everything that's required into our codes. He did provide kind of a concept plan. I don't know if that matters right now with the rezone, but just so you can get a general idea of the area. And then, I don't know if you have any other questions at this point, but.
Council, any other questions?
No, to me, this one's simple, it's an easy, going from residential to industrial.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
and this
sure.
area in our general plan it is just general manufacturing in our updated plan.
So is this the
So-
piece that Tooele City owned, and have they sold that, or is this adjacent to that piece?
I think it's just adjacent to it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Pretty close to landfill.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Highway line, okay. I say
Any
move-
other questions, council?
No, let's move it forward and move on.
Okay, move forward. Thank you, Trish.
Thanks.
Natural gas.
Aspen Winter,
All right,
you look different.
yeah. Council, this is a contract that we have with Summit Energy for natural gas. They supply our natural gas to the jail and also to Deseret Peak. We did have net 10 on this contract, which was way too hard for us to meet as far as our timing deadlines go for our payment process and things like that. We did put it out to bid. We didn't get any kind of responses from Dominion or anything like that. We went back to Summit Energy and they've been willing to work with us. We do have net 20 on this and we do feel like it's a more reasonable contract that we can work with. The older contract that we had also did not have any kind of it was an evergreen contract, meaning it went forever. And so we now have an end date in this contract, which we think is important in all of our contracts. We don't want any evergreen contracts. And so we're happy with the way that this has turned out, and we're just looking for your approval on this to move forward.
Questions, council? Move it forward?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And discussion item, Allison, we'll need you to be up here, fraud risk assessment.
All right. Council, if you'll remember, back in June when we did our audit, we had John from Larson & Company who talked to you about the importance of this fraud risk audit. And it's typically something he said that you guys could do as a council or that the audit committee could do. I went ahead and prepared it because we do need to have one done every year. But I do want you to know that at any time you can check what we've done on the fraud risk assessment. Last year, I gave us a clean bill of health, and if you remember when I stood up here last year, I did say that I had expectations that I want us to get better and better every year. So I absolutely could stand up here and give us the same score that we got last year, but I want us to continue to grow and to get better. And so I've given us not as good a score because I think that there's areas that we can improve in. And so it doesn't mean that we're not great or that we're not doing good things or that we're still not in good shape, but it just means that there's areas that we can improve in. And so the areas that I think that we can improve in are areas where we don't have policies that are adopted on a local level. And when we don't have a policy that's adopted on a local level, we default to the state level. And so, for example, as far as a conflict of interest policy, we don't have a conflict of interest policy that's adopted on a local level. So we default to the state's conflict of interest policy. And so you, as the policymakers, have the opportunity to look at that policy or look at a policy that fits Tooele County. And so these are the opportunities where if you're looking to adopt policy, you have a great opportunity to work on that. Now, a lot of these are financial policies, and Andy and myself and the treasurer are working on a robust financial policy that encompasses a lot of these things already. And we're really proud of what we have coming, because what we have now is just a couple of pages, and what we have coming really covers a lot of what we need. And so we're excited to bring to you what we've been working on. On the back, you'll notice that there's yes or no questions and there's some no's, and then there's MC next to it, which stands for mitigating control. Some of these no answers are simply because we don't have the staffing levels available to meet the controls required. So for example, we don't, in the auditor's office, you may be required to have 3 different people enter in a transaction. Well, we just don't have the staff level to enter in, approve, and do all the controls that are necessary. And so what you do is you have a mitigating control, which means somebody doesn't enter in their own check and then approve their own requisition or something like that. And so you do the best you can based on the staffing levels that you have to make sure that you cover what you can, but you may not be able to have the separation as duties as wide as you would hope in an organization as small as ours. So that's kind of the basis of this. Like I said, I do think there's room for improvement, and that's why there's a decrease in our score from last year. But I do think that Tooele County's sound. I do think that we have a great staff in place in both the auditor's office and the treasurer's office. And I think that we're doing a great job, so.
Thank you.
So
And that's good to know on all aspects.
I've known you a long time, and I've known your academic record, the many different degrees you have from the variety of institutions. But 380 out of 395 is like scoring a 7 and 860 out of 890 on a credit report, isn't it?
It's still a good score, but we could do better.
Just wanted to make sure I understand this. You've done a
I
great
have
job.
high
Thank you.
expectations for us, so.
Chair recognizes Councilman Hoffman.
You say you guys are working on a policy. When do you anticipate that policy to be coming before us?
Last year,
So it's taking so long.
Tyler. No, we
And
do,
then will it- Okay, go ahead.
we did hope that we would have it to you sooner. Truthfully, the software implementation has taken a lot of our time. So I would hope that second quarter would be
Reasonable?
reasonable.
Yeah, we have a good starting point. We
Yeah.
have a good policy. We just need to go through it again and add some things that we didn't have on initially. So
Yes.
we're working on that.
Yeah,
Will that address all, is that gonna be written so it addresses all three of your
Yes.
areas of concern?
yes, it does.
That's all my questions.
Okay, council, any other questions, comments? Okay, move forward.
Move forward.
Thank you. Tentative meeting schedule for 2023. You want me to, you want to address that, Andy?
Yeah, we're just putting this together to make sure that we look at elections and conferences that we're away from. And so Kylie put this together. If there are any adjustments that you need to make, we can adopt this at the next meeting. We just wanted to get this in front of you to kind of examine if there's potential conflicts.
There are a couple of dates that I think we may want to look at. One is the April 4th one. That is when, Jared, you and I will be in Mexico with the Rotary Club. Kendall, I don't know if you're going to Mexico with the Rotary Club this year. And that is also spring break. We're doing service work down there. If you want to come do work at the schools, you can come work at the schools with us. We'll take anybody that wants to go. But
And I'm
that is also spring break.
I'm washing my hair tonight, too.
That doesn't take you long, does it?
No, it doesn't. Conditioning does.
So there's,
So
if there's,
that is one that we may want to just reconsider for that reason, because like I said, Jared, I think you've already
Yep.
planned on being
If
out.
you'd like, we can shift both meetings that month, just shift them all a week if you'd like.
The other one is the May 16th one. It may be fine, but the next day is the NACO WIR conference in St. George. And so I don't know how many people are going to be leaving to go down for that
We'll need
night.
to shift that one.
Okay, with that one, we can shift a week out.
yeah, move that a week out.
Those are the only two that I see.
Councilman Tripp?
I would suggest you look at that very last meeting. I thought having one afternoon meeting a year on the last one is a good idea. So rather than 5:30,
I was going to suggest that
I would
too, so
suggest
yeah.
you do an earlier meeting that day.
On the
I don't think
19th.
you can approve this. It has to be approved the first meeting of the year,
Next,
right?
yeah, next
Have input.
meeting.
Yeah.
I think you missed an obvious one, July 4th.
Oh, I didn't, yeah, you're right.
That may be a problem.
That's what we were founded on, Scott.
Who doesn't want to have a government meeting?
4th of July?
One other one we need to
I'll
look at.
cook you a
just
breakfast that
second.
morning.
July,
18th.
I'm just looking at NACO right now. The conference, yeah, we should be okay on the 18th.
Yeah,
so
that's
try to
the
look at the NACO
21st through the
conferences.
24th. The NACO conference is the 21st through the 24th.
Okay.
Then the NACO conference in February is the 11th through the 14th as well, and I think you're going to that, Scott.
So is that a request on a December 19th to move it earlier, is that a suggestion?
Cancel it.
Usually we have some final adjustments we need to make, so.
So in July, do we want to move that one to the 11th? Do the 11th and the 18th? We probably want to do the 11th and the 18th that month.
We can do that, or we can shift it.
And then
just
maybe April, we do the 11th and the 18th as well.
Do you want to have them a week apart, or do you want to shift them each week, so there's 2 weeks
Well,
apart?
if we shift the other one, then we're going to be interfering, I think,
It
potentially
may be after that, that's correct.
with the NACO conference in July.
Just a second.
Okay, we'll look at some dates there and send that back out again.
Let's get some recommendations. I mean, we can shift July to the 25th,
11th and 25th?
11th and 25th. Ty?
Is that a Tuesday?
Yes.
That's,
So we can shift them to the 11th and 25th.
Okay.
To the 2nd and 4th.
All right, that's July. How about in, was it April, you said?
April
Do you want
4th.
to shift those as well? Or just shift the one?
If you're gonna have 3 here, then you'll have 3 here, but you'll have the majority, but 2 of us
on
will be
April
gone.
4th is also the UAC Building Conference. I don't think anybody from this goes to that. I think we do have other departments that go. Yeah, you usually go, Brett? And Was it Jed that went with you last year, or who?
He won't go again, though.
Okay.
Well, Eric and I will be the only ones here on the 11th. You know, we weren't invited to the party.
No.
It's okay. Yeah, you know, we're all going to Mexico. The rest of you can stay home. We'll have a party here. How's that?
The Rotary this Rotary trip literally is open for everybody, and it's spring break that week, so.
So which days would you like to do in April then? Would that be the 11th and the 18th then?
Or the, Puerto Penasco, it's the very top of the Sea of Cortez. It's about a 15-hour drive from here. No, it's on the Sea of Cortez,
It's on the
The
Gulf of California
Gulf,
side.
Mexico.
Gulf.
Shrimp fleet comes out
Yeah,
of there.
they sell a lot of shrimp that they catch in the morning and you go fry up. They're good. Or it's also known as Rocky Point, Puerto Penasco or Rocky Point, Mexico.
Okay, any other, we'll move forward on that. Get those dates. I don't know if we're ready to pass that next, this will be in January. County Council Board assignments for 2023.
I
Anybody
think
want to speak?
Kylie's put together a list of what is there.
Yep, so council, I'd encourage you to take a look at that. If there are boards that you can no longer serve on, or you want to continue to serve on, would you let me know so that you can be reassigned on those and continue to your service? Just, can I make a note? You have knowledge on those boards that you've gained over the past year or years, that serve well. So if you're unable to serve because of conflict with work or other things, understandably, but certainly if you can continue, that would be best.
Mr.
That-
Chairman, also, we've got to, I don't know, I didn't see it on here, the CJAC
Yeah,
committee we're going to need to appoint a member, a councilman to it.
right.
So let's be aware of that. That's something we've got to move on.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas, absolutely, and we'll need to make those the first meeting in January.
If you look on line 74, it's there,
Okay.
the spreadsheet.
Which sheet?
It's right down the bottom.
And then I would entertain a motion to adjourn, and we need to adjourn for a few minutes to,
Go see the Bearcat.
yeah, there's Bearcat out, where is it at?
It's right out back there.
Out this way. If you'd like to take, Sheriff Wimmer was able to bring Bearcat out that is now in the possession of the County Sheriff's Department. This is something that will protect the officers should there arise a concern for safety reasons, to be able to protect the officers and other personnel. I think that's,
Can I make a recommendation then that we adjourn and reconvene at 4:15?
yeah, that'd be fine.
That way people can go see.
Is
the-
that your motion?
Yeah, that's a motion.
Hearing a motion from Councilman Hoffman to adjourn and reconvene at 4:15 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.